Welcome back to the CDAMP course. My name is Manuel Gadi. You're here for session 4 exercises. Exercise 1. Write a pandas program to join the two given data frames along rows and assign all data, student 1 and student 2. So to do that, first thing first, we need to actually create the data frame. So student 1 will be pd dot data frame like this, and we need to pass, well, a dictionary with students, and for that we need to import pandas as pd there. And what we have is first the student ID, and then a list of values. Next, the name and a list of values. And next, marks and also a list of values. And the list of values that we're gonna get is for student ID is S1, S2, S3, and S4, S5. Next, the names would be Daniela. It is cost me less. Daniela, comma, writer story, Bryce Jensen, Ed Bernal, name Mary. So this is how we create this, the other one. So this is my first data frame. I can just run this, and I think I can get S1 as we expect. What about S2? S2 will be the same thing with different values. So I'm going to copy this one, paste it here. So here we go. This is the S2, and I can just print S2 at the end here, and we're going to get S2. So the exercise now is that we should merge, concatenate, put one on top of each other. And we have different values here. Oh, there's a mistake here. It says 6, S7, S8, S9, and S10. Now, to put one on top of each other, we need PD concat, and then we provide S1 and S2. And if I do that, it's going to be confused. It's not going to know how to merge the two together, and especially because it's getting two different elements and expecting one. So I need to provide them inside a list here. And this is going to concatenate. And if I want the result of the concatenation, df concat, for example, I have to assign it, and then I can print the concat here, and I'm going to get the data. So we can do things with it. Now write a pandas program to join two given data frames along columns and assign all data student 1 and student 2. So for number 2, what I want is that you concatenate but based on the S's. Oh, so actually my S's, my X's were actually correct, 4, 5, and so I'm going to take here again. So here as well as 5. It's 8. And 8. So if I concatenate now, I have two people, the same as for Bernard and Scarlett, but they have the same student ID, so there's like some conflicts here of students. So should I want to join them to see the ones that actually have a conflict, that I have too many data, more than one user. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna merge these two guys, and here we go. This I'm gonna do pd dot concatenate, and I pass S1 and S2 as we did it before, and axis equal to 0. That is putting one on top of the other, and 1 means that we are going to merge them, put one side by side each other, but we're not merging them. We're not using the student ID, so I'm putting S1 with the first one with the first one. So this is what we're seeing there. And then write a program to append rows to an existing data frame and display the combined one. So in here, we want to get this result data frame here. Let's say this df result, and I want to add another line. So let's say I have student 6 here, and student 6 is just pandas S6 Scarlett Fisher, and then the names. So like this, I have student 6, and I want to add that student to my initial data frame. So my data frame called S1. So S1 is my students, and I can add these guys by doing a append to the end of this one with S6. And then this is going to fail because I don't have S6 is not actually a data frame. It is, so I have to say ignore index equals to true, and this way I'm going to get the new data at the bottom of the first one. So this is S1 appended. So this is the data frame that results from that one. Now write a bundle. Okay, so my student data is the result of the first exercise, this one, the fconcat, with all the student data there. So we need to, in this fourth exercise, we need to create a dictionary, and we need then to append that dictionary. So let's create a dictionary with some data. So we're going to create a dictionary here with the data, and in that dictionary, I'm going to put student ID. Let's put S6 as the key, and then name Scarlett Fisher, next marks 203, and then we're going to separate by comma, and we're going to enter the second student S7, name Bryce Jensen, marks 207. So let's carry on. I'm just going to put a print here, original data frame. The original data frame actually is called df underscore concat, so I think I made a mistake there. Df concat slash appends dix comma ignore index, because when I'm merging a data frame with anything that is not a data frame, indexes does not exist. In the case of Panda series or a NumPy array or or a dictionary or even in a list, when I'm appending it, it has to ignore the index, otherwise it won't work because the index doesn't exist. It's not a proper frame yet. It's going to be created on the fly. And then sort equal to false, not to sort it. None of the two elements. And then this is the combined data. So before running here, let me just fix the underscore concat here. And here we go. We have the concatenated combined data with a response where what I'm actually adding here, it's not another data frame yet. It is a dictionary with more elements. Very handy if this data is coming from JSON format. So this is common way of transferring data over the internet. So we can use it if we need so. Write a program to join two given data frames along rows and merge with another data frame along the common column ID, student data 1, student data 2, and student data 3. My student data 1 is this one. Student data 2 is this one that I already had it from previous exercise. Now what we want is to create another data frame so that we're going to merge them. That is not concatenate. We're going to merge according to the key here. This is the exam data. So we just have it, student ID and exam data. So the first thing is, let's remember how we simply concatenate all the individuals. So we concatenate them like this. We put a list with student 1 and student 2. And then we go inside here and we say, we can say how to do it by access. By default, put one under the other. And of course, the idea is that we say this is the df concat here, and then we just print it here. Concat. So, however, for merging necessarily it needs a key. So here in this exam data, I have the student ID and the exam ID for merging the two things. And what I will do then is merge let's call this one result data, because I'm merge this result data with the other one. And then I will say, let's merge this result data. Remember, merge is ideal when you don't have keys that are sorted. So I'm going to say, oh, merge, pd.merge. And then I'm going to tell both result data and the exam data. The exam, if I do that, it will do it by the index. It's try to guess how to merge, but ideally we should say on and say student ID. Let me just verify here if this is called student. Yeah, student ID. Let's avoid. I'm gonna avoid typing here. I think I've done correct just in case. And here we go. It's the same result. It by default it tries to find the name, especially the name that matches in both. If there is only one, it's gonna merge by that column. in case it doesn't exist, it will be confused and going to return an error. So it's better if it's more clear for the reader if you go and tell how it's going to be merged. So this is the final data, and then get a pointer for this if we need it later, and we print it. Very nice. Next, right upon this program, we should join the two data frames using the common function of both data frames. Yeah, this should be easy now because we've done a hard one. So now we have S1 and we have S2. So how do we merge using the column student ID? That is the common column for both of them. Well, same idea. pd.merge, and then you say S1, S2, and it will give you nothing here because in this case, we do have to inform on, and then say student ID. And why it doesn't work in this case, it's important to notice that because all columns are the same. So by default, it gets all the columns that are the same and use it as a key to merge. But there is no individual that have the same values here and here. There are some that have S4 and S4, but they don't have the same name and the same mark. So we won't be able to join, to merge this way because there are three columns and the three columns have the same name. That is why it's mandatory in this case to say which column do we want to merge by. So it's going to be student ID. And then by default, it does inner join. And maybe inner join is how you want to do it. But for readability, it's good that you inform that it's going to be inner anyway. So inner is the default. We know, but maybe the reader is of the code, or later in the future you forget that this is the default. It doesn't cost too much just to write how equals to inner there. And then again, I'm going to call it my data here. And this is not a concat, this is just a merge of both data sets. Very nice. Now write a program to join the two data frames with matching records, both sides were available. I mean, it is the same as the previous one, but what I'm asking here is that this is inner join. So when both exist, this is left join. The first one exists, but the second doesn't. The right join, it's only when the second one exists. And then here is when both sides were available. So if they are available, we don't want to miss anything. So we want outer, like merge everything and give me all the possible results. And I'm going to clean that mess later. So, and we're going to call it merge data here again, merge data. And look that I'm always doing this because it's clever to merge and have a pointer for that. Because normally we want to do something with it. Number eight, write a program to join the left join the two databases using the key left data frame only, data 1 and data 2. So this is actually requesting me to create a new data frame. Based on the data that I see here, I'm going to start creating the data. So let's put a comma here, and I'm going to say key 1, column, and then I'm going to put K0, K0, K1, K1, as you can see here, as in data for that row, for rows for that column. Then let's introduce T2. T2, with all the data, key 0, Q1, key 0, Q1, then P, P0, P1, P2, P3, and then Q, Q0, Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. Now let's go for the data 2 data frame. So data 2 is here. You can see it. Now let's move on and try to merge this. First, let me just print the 2 data frames. Print data 1, then print some lines here, print data 2, and merge data by keys. So in one data frame, the key is actually called key 1. And no, oh, actually, I have key 1 and key 2, so I want to merge by these 2 keys because we have 2 keys in one and another. And how do I merge? Actually, because as you can see, the keys, key 1 and key 2 are 2 columns that coincide in both data frames. It's not necessary to say on Q1 and Q2. By default, it will do that. But as for readability, it's a good idea that you do. Remember that. So this is the merged data. And next, what we do, we print that data. And merge data, we just print it. And here we go. This is the original data, as you can see, created as a data frame. Second original data. The merged data is like this. And here you can see, wow, if data 1 is the left one, this is the result because it's going to leave the blank 2 cells here, 2 rows. For the right one, is data 2. But if I put it in the other way around, it's only going to leave 1 blank for data 1. So it is the data 2 as the left and data 1 as the right. So now with this data 1 and data 2, it's requesting to do a right merge, a right join. So I'm gonna still use merge. I'm not using join because I don't have indexes. So it's a better idea to do a merge, because it sorts the data previously. And then this is just a merge data like that. Be aware that if I do the opposite, if I change the order data 2 and data 1, this actually becomes a simple left join because it depends on the position that you put. So if you do a right, but swapping the order of the data frames, that will become a left join. So be aware of that. Now write upon this program to combine 2 data frames object by filling the missing values of the data frame with a known value or no new value, something like it will depend if it's going to be a text. You should put a blank, or if it's numeric, you put simply 0, for example. So let's go and do this. How do we place that? We have so first let's create data frames that we can see there on the screen. And now that we have this data frame in pandas, there is a combine, the F1 combine first that allow us to combine the 2 data frames. Oh, and this is a very handy method, especially for missing values. If you have one table that has some missing values, and in another table you have information about those missing values. Let's say numbers that you know. So in this one, I have A with missing value and A with missing value for 3 and 5. And in the second one, I know the values. The value is 1, and the value is 3 for, the value is 1 for this guy here. So when I combine them, it automatically gets, well, the third line, because this third line is 3 and this third line is 0, is missing, it will pick the valid value for that column. It doesn't do for ID. It has to be the tables have to match the same number of rows and the same number of columns. You're gonna get the value that is valid from that position. And if it is, and because we're doing df1 and df2, if there is 2 valid values, like here, it's going to pick the first one, that is number 5. So this is a very handy way of, if we have to solve the missing value. So write a program now to replace the current value in a data frame column based on the last largest value in the current value. So in this case, what's being requested is, do you see 23, 21, 27, 22? If I go there and say, well, look, the 23 here, I can go into this df1 and create a new column here and say, running max, running. One. This is equal. This will be to rerun it. A little issue here. Okay, now I have the number. This number is equal to the maximum, but the next value is smaller. Let's say we want to know if we are at the highest temperature every day. So if we always keeping going up. So the running max, we always in the running max. The running max so far is 23. And so this day was below that temperature. This guy was higher, and then this becomes the rolling max. This becomes the rolling max. So I can use this equation here just to say if for that column rnum, it is equal to the rnum cumulative max. And then I can create another column, run max result. And then the run max result will be, if this is equal, I say this is the max temperature. This is the highest temperature so far. And then this becomes the day with the highest temperature. And then the next day is a lower temperature. And then the next day is a higher record again. And then this is not a record, but it's still a top temperature and a top temperature. And so on and so forth. So finally, the last exercise of this round, write a program that reads to fill missing values in this time series here. So for this exercise, we have actually we have some data here, and if I create this data is coming from the C1 and C2. I can see some values here, and I can make, let's say, it is a time series for my data. So I'm making an index here. That will be a time series. So data from the 3rd of January 2000. So it is a series, a time series. I'm just making it up as the dates there. That helps pandas. I know it is a time series, but we don't have dates. So I'm making the dates up to use something that's going to be interesting, because I could potentially forward fill. I could potentially put the mean here for this value, put a 0, or do, forward fill that would take the number 7 and put the number 7 here, or the number 10 there. But it depends on the data. It's clever to do an interpolate to get the previous value and the next value and do an average of the values, or even better than average, it could do something depending on the actual data. It can do a proper interpolation that will be better than just the average. But interpolate, look, it's doing the average and putting the average from the previous value and the value afterward. So this is interpolate, and it's really useful. It depends, of course, of your data. So maybe you just replace with zeros, you just replace with the mean, you just do forward fill or backward fill, or you have this magical interpolate here. So thank you so much. This is Manuel Gabi for the CDAMP course, exercise session 4. Thank you so much.